Today on Warrior Sessions.
Now, when does it come a point that man sees beyond that and sees that actually that takes huge courage?
And then she said, "How does that make you feel?" I said, "You're my worst nightmare. How could you do that to yourself?"
Holding women that are holding their own men that are committed suicide and attempted their own lives and now are supporting them in their homes. And the common denominator is we are not talking to each other. We're not talking about how we really feel because we want to avoid it because people are too scared of what's there.
How to feel safe in being sat opposite a woman because it can be terrifying, but you have to remember that, it's like when you look at a spider, spiders are quite terrifying, but I bet that spider's more scared of you than you are of it. It's the same with women, right? Women are brave. If a woman sits opposite a man to do this kind of level of emotional work, just think how much work she's had to do in order to be strong enough to sit opposite that man. Right. Oh, good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Good to see you. Feels special, like you say at the moment. There's a lot I know that you're holding. Me too. Um, so yeah, I'll just think I feel an opportunity just to just step straight in. I think just going off our last connection, it was, apparent this sense of just need a need for men to step in, a need for the responsibility that is at our door. It's really at our door. It's been at the door a long time, but I think it's really at the door of my door now. And you have a very profound connection with me, something that I've experienced with a lot of men, but not at this depth. Um, you hold a depth that is very, very special, but it's very painful, as we've seen with some of the stuff that you've
Yeah.
shared, which I just like to say live. That is takes such courage to do that because we have honored ourselves with the fact that we need to be authentic. So what's showing up now for me is this sense of Alistair's bared all to witness his pain, the work that's ahead of us. He's got the insight and the foresight and the knowing that there's a huge opportunity here for men to finally come clean, finally go, I'm not okay. And whether that's because for me, um, there's been a big journey prior to this relationship, big journey. Um, and like you, doing the work, but my my conscious my conscious judgmental self was like, so Alistair's crying out for men to step up, but that's going to put them off because they're immediately going to think he's unstable. He's he's not he's just always emotional. How is he ever going to hold space if he is a just hear this. This is what's coming from source. He's crumbling under the sheer weight of trying to be solely responsible for this work.
Okay.
Now, when does it come a point that man sees beyond that and sees that actually that takes huge courage? See, I wasn't allowed to cry as a kid. I was shut down from tears. So I think a lot of men will relate to this, and I know you will too. That to be truly emotionally in the work that's very now at our door, this work of taking responsibility, taking responsibility for our planet, taking responsibility for how we speak to other people, taking responsibility to what we're teaching, taking responsibility of actually what we're actually doing, um, comes at a time in a man's life. And I've reached that point, and I just thought, I'd love to be able to do that. So I've had that real judgment side. Oh, that's uncomfortable. Oh, how can he do that? How can he share that? And then there's the other side saying, this is what will lead us to the movement towards what we need to do. So the feedback I'm getting from source is, how do we use this platform so that men know that we're safe, that they know that they can come into this space. There's no judgment. There isn't a hierarchy. There isn't I know more. None of that shit's even in the room. We know that. But when it comes to our tears, when it comes to our bearing our true pain of the work we're doing on a deep level, that could be a real, for some men, immediately a turn off to that level of depth. And we need to reassure men that you have been doing the work for a very long time. And this is something you're inviting. This is something that this is your divine purpose. It's different. We're not asking every man to do that. We're asking men just to step in and to be with that energy because they need to see it, because they're allowed to be that. It's okay. I know I've met you physically. I know what it's like to be. We've spoke about this. We've spoke about our intensity. We've spoke about how men retreat from us. We both have this in common. I see it a lot. I see it a lot. And I have walked my path today, this morning, and I pray and I call in who I need to call, those that I've worked with, those that have come through, those that have channeled, those that have come before us. And it goes right down to, set the cell of the macrocosm. It goes right down to it. And it's a calling within to me to be here with you, to be that guy that stepped in, to start that process that I'm fearful of, that I'm afraid of, that I don't really want to look at, that I don't want responsibility for. I'm responsible for 3 children. I'm responsible for a debt that's most people think is insane. And it's called life. We get in debt. I've got huge amounts of this mental, unexplaining, unevolving, stuck juggernaut of man's own mess. Man's own, this is how we're going to get ourselves out of this shit. We're just going to keep making shit up. And it's now really obvious to me that that is not okay. And I think if we're going to talk about men, a lot of men have got children, and if they're really, really gonna listen to you and step in to this space with us, they've got to think of their kids. They've got to think, if they're not going to do it for themselves, they've got to do it for their kids. And this is what's coming up for me. I've got to think about what I've got to hold as the time goes on, as things get worse, as we pollute more of our water, as we heat up, as things turn more messy, as people move around the planet more to avoid the danger of dying because of environmental disaster. As we enter this first quarter of this millennia, we have got an environmental crisis at our hands, on top of an ignoring of our own sense of self. So we're asking a lot of this time where we are noticing, Alistair, we are definitely noticing that men are putting their heads more in the sand because they're too afraid of stepping in. But we need to send the light of, we don't expect huge amounts of anything from them because we know what they're up against. We know that there is this sense of, I can't be emotional. I can't be really truthful because someone will exploit me. I can't really share who I am because that'll be weak. But if I can't appeal to the sovereign male, I'll appeal to his children and his children's children that he's got to step in now. He's got to look at this. We've got to look at how men are going to come into a space together and share. Because, like you said, Hazel and the girls are doing it. They're doing it. So why can't men do it? We've also discussed the huge groups in retreats and all this. It had some momentum and it had a little bit of nectar and gold dust that men could step in, come away with something. But we know that that has now turned toxic because it's about the ego and it's about, oh, anybody can do it. Not everyone can fucking do it. It's bullshit. Not everyone can do that. It's a very privileged position.
Yeah.
It you get a calling for it and you have to sacrifice a lot in order to be really authentic in that space. Like you really do. And I know you're financially even like struggling to even continue to be this channel because if you step into the realm of, well, I've got to get a job, I've got to it, it's not what you're meant to be doing. That's why we're calling for people to donate. It doesn't mean you've got to donate huge hundreds of pounds. Donate a couple of quid. For goodness sake, just do it and see where it goes. See the difference it makes in your own life about giving something to a different cause. Instead of it being, for me, I do a lot of charity stuff, but try this channel, guys. Try this channel. Please just try it. Try stepping in with whether you get a tenner from your mum for the kids for an ice cream or whatever, or you get an extra bonus at work that you don't really need it. Send it this way. Send it this way. Like it would mean so much to this, what's happening for Alistair and Hazel. Believe in something a little bit different because it can't just be on Alistair. It can't be just on one person. And this is what happens in these men's groups. Everyone relies on that one person to keep it going. It's not how it works. It works by everybody keeping it going. Everybody's got to contribute. So if Alistair's in the center of it and he's channeling and he's trying to do the honest work that's ahead of us, and he's ahead and he's coming back to report into us and feeding back the work that we need to do. And he's given us a platform of tools that we can use in order to get there, then we need to help him be able to do that and support him in that because he's brave enough to do that. And he's very brave enough to come online and bare his soul in front of him. And you can judge him for being looking like he can't hold it. Well, he can't hold it all on his own. It's impossible. So step in and realize that this is the only way. And it won't be just Alistair. There'll be absolutely loads of men across our Mother Earth that are stepping into this role. And you'll have your place within that. But it's got equality of you're no better, no worse than anybody else within that feeling factor. And I'm feeling the pressure. I'm feeling the pressure. I've got kids on summer holidays now, guys. Like, I've got the extra weight of now trying to support them and knowing that I need to be present for this type of work. I have to be here. It's and it's a need. And there's also going to be resistance every day to walk this walk because it's really painful. It's really mind-provoking. We're in a very dangerous time. We're in a very sick time. We're so sick. Like I'm seeing it this week, for example, I've held so much suicide. I can't tell you how much suicide I've held. And I'm talking from girls to that are 20 to men that are 60, 70. I'm holding women that are holding their own men that are committed suicide and attempted their own lives and now are supporting them in their homes. And the common denominator is we are not talking to each other. We're not talking about how we really feel because we want to avoid it because people are too scared of what's there. I'm not. Alistair's not. We're not. We are brave. We are the ones that are going, we have some medicine around that. That isn't something you pop in your mouth. It's not something that's going to shut you down. This is the true work. And I really am getting myself now into a place where I'm sort of losing my channeling. But I walked on my path this morning and I stopped and I talked to the wind and I talked to the birds and I said, what do I need to do? And they're like, you just need to be a really good root. You need to be a really good source under, really grounded, rooted, and communicating. And you need to know your weaknesses. And my weaknesses are right now. Like, what does this look like? How desperate does this guy look? What is he really talking about? Well, let's open up the space to do that. Let's talk about these things. I don't fucking know. Does anybody? It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. But I'm telling you now, we can get past this. We just need to really level with each other and say, okay, where am I at? Well, I'm at this point where I'm actually gonna go over to that tree. I'm gonna put my rope around it. I want to hang my neck from it. That's where I'm at. Okay, where are you at? Well, I haven't eaten for 2 weeks because I can't fucking eat and I can't sleep. Okay, that's where you're at. Where are you at? Well, I can't stop working. I need to keep making more money because I want the jacuzzi next week, and then my wife wants to go to Barbados. So I can't stop. I can't stop. Okay, that's where you're at. Where are you at? Well, I can't stop praying. I can't stop praying. I feel desperate for the way we are. I'm so alone. Right, that's where you're at. Where are you at? Well, I don't know how to be a dad. Like, I'm really struggling. I don't know how to talk to my kids because I can't. I'm stuck. I'm like, okay, that's where you're at. So we're at all these different points, but by coming together, I can promise you we'll all find resonance and we'll find a place that we can start. So I'm pretty much on the point of exhaustion. I'll drop that into the space today. I have Alistair, so he can hold my depth. I know he can, even though I've seen some of his work this week that he shared with me that's deeply provoking, deeply passionate, deeply touching, deeply centered. And I send so much love to Alistair right now, like how much I love Alistair. Like it's a love that's so deep. It's a love that we've known before. Alistair and we've been together a long time, potentially many, many lifetimes. Um, in your lifetime now, the people that are around you have been with you before, even your own kids. I'm not saying in the same physical form, but in spirit. So everyone that's around you, take a look. The ones that are close to you, they're people that you've already journeyed with. But maybe you need to step out your comfort zone. Maybe you need to step out of that. Oh, I know this. This is familiar. And be happy. Cool. But do you want to grow? Do you want to learn more about yourself? Are you actually really stuck? If you are, this is the space to become a bit unstuck. We've got the medicine for you guys. I promise you, we've got it. We've really got it. We know we've got it, and it's not an ego got it, it's a heart we've got it. So
Yeah.
I am needing a break. I won't confess. I've got that coming with my family. But I've got Alistair to hold me, thank goodness, because I wouldn't put this on anybody else because no one else would get it. And it's because the level of work I'm doing at the depth I'm doing. So, for example, I counsel people somatically, um, in a person-centered way. I also support people as a key worker, meaning I'm there to just hold some space for them to talk. A lot of the people I'm working with in the mental health haven't got that because the people that are doing it are not fucking qualified. They think they can get an easy number. Oh, I'll get paid for just sitting around on my ass. Oh, this is easy. Oh, watch some telly. You know, bullshit. Face the fact. This is an honored position. This is the best livelihood I've ever had. This is like the most profound livelihood I've found, but it comes at a cost. And so I'm feeling, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that I'm up against a lot. So I have to cleanse my chakras a lot. I have to ground a lot. I have to center a lot. I have to listen to my breath. I have to rest really well. I have to know where my energy wants to go. I have to know who I want to not be with at a certain time. Um, So this is all self-awareness that you guys can get if you put the work in, if you start to stop and come into our space and share with us. We will never judge, and we're not here to fix. We ain't gonna fix you. You've got to fix you, but we can be that support. So I am feeling a huge darkness from what I'm up against now because a lot of the puzzle of, oh, what's mental health? What's been done about it? Where are people really at? They're fucked in a sense. Not the people that are fucked. The people that are meant to be caring from are fucked. They have no idea what they're doing. None. I know that's not going to come as new news to a lot of people like Alistair, but for those that are in are in their own realities, their own realms of ignorance. I'm telling you now, the people are fucked. Psychiatrists are fucked. The doctors are fucked. The so-called experts are fucked. We've touched on this. They're fucked because they're not willing to say to that person, talk to me. Tell me what's wrong. And when
Yeah.
I did it in the week with one girl who's been in mental health since she was 6 years old, she's now 23 years old. She's been through it all. Her scars on her body, we're talking probably more scars on her body than the stars in the universe, guys. Okay, I'm talking of huge self-harm, multiple attempts at taking her own life. Said to me, I lost my dad when I was young. And we journeyed into it, and she remembers being under a table at school and all these official people trying to grab her to get her to conform, and she just wanted to hide under the table because she'd lost her dad, her one true. How do we know that that man wasn't someone that she had journeyed with millions of times before and was that spirit guide, that strength, that totem that was there, that she'd lost that person? No one had ever held space for her. Now I'd be like, what the? I'm not doing this, but inside I'm like, you poor kid. We were talking with her 6-year-old, her 7-year-old
Yeah.
in that moment.
Yeah.
And I'm holding that and I'm going, do you know what I was allowed to do? Because I'm not. a so-called expert. I'm just a human being. I was allowed to shed some tears with her. I shed some tears where it belongs, and tears belong where it belongs, and it belonged in that moment because no one had wept with her. Nobody. How was that kid meant to hold that pain? I couldn't even hold it. I'm 50 years old, and it's not even my father. I couldn't even hold it. I couldn't. It's too much. It's too much. But we don't want to do that, do we? We don't want to look at it. We don't want to talk about it. We want to fucking push it down. We want to medicate it. We want to pretend it's not there. And we're doing that with our environment as well. So, you know, I'm mixing the two, but we're really up against a huge hurdle, Alistair. I'm telling you, this is, and you said to me, you didn't say don't abandon me. You said every other man has abandoned me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. It's beautiful. You're it's very difficult to hold that amount of space for someone else and a family and yourself at the same time. So I'm more than happy to be here for you, to hold space for you. And there are too many instances on this, and I want to address one of the first things you said, which is linked to the theme of what you're sharing is why do men find it difficult to express emotion and have such low, dense judgments on it
Yeah.
compared to women. For
Yeah.
women, it's part of who they are, and it is part of who we are as men, but we've shut it down. But you and I'm just going to talk into this weakness of emotion. So
Yeah, of course.
I went through the same difficulties that every men have. I didn't know how to talk. I was really shy as a young kid. I was definitely on the spectrum, probably. I don't like all of those definitions, but I was on such a hypersensitive level that I would shut down and I would behave very strangely. And I definitely got bipolar off my father. That's something that I've been on a journey to heal. I had complex post-traumatic stress disorder from multiple, multiple violent attacks. Before the age of 11, I'd had over, nearly 30 stitches in my head from splitting my head open, cracking my skull open nearly 10, 11 times. And violence followed me through the streets unprovoked. And the worst one was at university. In my first year of university, some guy used my head as a football, split my head open on the curb, and then 2 years later, I nearly lost my leg. So I've really been through an enormous, turbulent amount of abuse in my life. And it wasn't until I moved to London to where I started to find some kind of self-worth because being stuck in my hometown in a small town was I was trapped and I was being abused by my bosses. Every job I went to, I was being abused. And when I moved to London, I realized that because it's such a multicultural bubble, they have very strict rules about abuse. And so when I went there, I was shocked at how well I was treated by my bosses. They gave me free healthcare. They gave me a half price gym membership to Virgin, which is, costs a fortune. So I took full advantage of all of it. I went for a free 300, they call it a 360 Nuffield healthcare checkup, where they like Bluetooth your spine, put you on a bike with a breathalyzer, everything. You spend the whole afternoon there. And then they ask you if you'd like to speak to a doctor. I spoke to the doctor. He said, "What are you going through?" And I thought, okay, nobody's ever listened before. I'm just going to tell him everything. I'm getting nightmares. I'm scared of walking down the street. I'm getting voices speaking in my head telling me that everyone's an asshole. Everyone's fat, everyone's ugly, everyone's lesser than me. Okay, I think you might have a problem. Oh, right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I thought that too. I recommend this guy to you. He can diagnose you. 2 weeks later, I'm in this office with this guy, I tell him my whole story, and he picks up on one thing out of my story, and which was I get really scared when I have a shower. And he goes, "Oh, I know what's wrong with you." And I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, you got complex post-traumatic stress disorder." And I was like, why did you say that?" He goes, "It's the shower. It's sensory deprivation. When the shower makes the noise, you can't hear the noise around you." And obviously I told him about all the traumatic events that happened in my life, and it was like a chronological time bomb, you know? And so because someone acknowledged me, someone was able to say, mirror back to me that I've got a problem, I was like, oh gosh, that's a relief. Now I can do something about it.
Mm.
And 2 weeks later, I was in an office sat opposite a guy who was dealing with war veterans who had seen, children's heads blown off and stuff like that. Right. So there's part of me that kind of didn't feel worthy of sitting there because I hadn't seen anything like that. But I immediately knew that was complete bullshit because I picked up this book, right? I hadn't read a book in years because I was in so much pain. And the first book I picked up was The Chimp Paradox, which is about how the mind works, right? And I found on my journey, I don't know if this happened to you, but every time I picked up a book, I'd read the whole book and I only take one thing from it. It's like, God, I had to
Yeah.
read all that to get one thing. But it was
Yeah,
that
it's
one
like
thing that
that.
would change my life, right?
Mm.
And it told me that there was this chimp in my brain, the ego, right? That every time I wanted to do something that would improve my mental health, my health in general, the chimp would go, oof, I don't think so. You're going to look like a complete idiot if you do that. And so because I'd read that book, I went, oh, okay, that's the chimp. I'm going to do it anyway. Right. And so I sat in front of this psychotherapist. His name was Steve. And he started using really foul language to try to connect with me. And I looked at him and I said, I'm not a soldier. Please don't speak to me like that. And he apologized immediately and he changed his language towards me. Effing and blinding and using the C word and all this stuff to try and connect with me, like men do in a toxic way. And I built a relationship with him over time to the point where he broke the boundaries of that relationship by saying, "Hey, the rugby's on. Do you mind if we do our session at the pub?" And because of my boundaries weren't strong enough, I said, "Yeah, okay, that sounds like fun." And it got worse and worse to the point where I wasn't getting anywhere anymore. But what psychotherapy taught me, and it was the only thing I really needed to learn, was how to identify my emotions because I was numb. My awareness was numb because I had become ignorant to my own emotions, right? And I'm going to come back to this part of the story, but I just want to say, to fast forward to present day, where I'm doing these videos where I'm completely exposing myself.
Mm.
It's so far removed from who I used to be.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's a process and a method to why I'm doing that, right? And I'm telling this story because it's going to completely align with everything you've said, right? So what did I do after I had psychotherapy? It was 4 years in, 3.5 years or something, and I was on this bus in the middle of London. And I was looking out the bus and I thought, this guy's a C word. She's ugly. He's fat. He's disgusting. And I was like, it's driving me nuts because I wasn't saying it out loud. It was in my head.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't feel like this. This isn't me. What is this? How do I get rid of this? And so I went to him and he goes, yeah, that's narcissism. And I was like, okay, how do I was like immediate, okay, like, why didn't you tell me that before? And how do I deal with it? He goes, you can't really deal with it. You've got to live with it. Read this book. And it was a book about hallucinations. And I was like, I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that because I'd started my medicine journey by then, I think. And I remember I walked outside and I was really angry. I was like, why didn't he tell me that earlier? I've wasted so much time. And I needed something different in that moment, right? So I started the psychotherapy, but because I had a gym membership as well that was half price, and I was getting paid. I think I had a pay rise. I was getting, I living in Bournemouth, getting paid 28 grand a year to 50,000 a year, right? And that just went up quite quickly. And I was getting bonuses and all this free healthcare and everything. I felt great. I was like, okay, I'm going to use this money to improve myself. So I got a, I went and joined Virgin, and I started going every morning and every evening after work, right? But I realized I was really shit. So I hired a personal instructor, Javier, right? You've met Javier.
Mm.
Yeah. And you should be on this fucking call. Anyway, I met him and it took me years to get to know him because he was so closed, so closed. And he spoke about that to me about I recorded it, but the recording got deleted from my I tried to do a session with him, but it got deleted from my computer. I told you about that. But he he's got this amazing story of how when he was born, there was an absolute commotion, like terrorist attack and all this stuff in the hospital. And so he's got this shield over his heart. So very hard to get through to him, but lovely guy. And he started teaching me calisthenics, weight training, bit of boxing, Wing Chun. I'd already done my martial arts and stuff after getting my head kicked in and stuff. And I then started other self-improvement. So I joined a biohacking group. So then started to change my diet, and that had a tremendous effect. Seriously, like changing my diet, wow, that's huge. Like I almost changed. I think I changed in 10 days. 10
Mhm.
days by removing sugar, polyunsaturated fats. What was it? Polyunsaturated fats, sugar, and something else. I can't remember now. Anyway, when I removed sugar, it removed all of my cravings for carbohydrates and alcohol. And so I started drinking less because I was drinking a lot after I got my head kicked in. I was just knocking them back, right? And then I started trying other stuff, peptide injections. I even started taking a lot of supplements and stuff. And then I was listening to someone recommended me to listen to his Joe Rogan podcast. Have you heard of Joe Rogan?
Yeah, but I'm not listening. I'm not. Yeah, I've heard of
Okay.
him.
Yeah, so I started listening to him with a really open mind, and it immediately listening to him, what I realized is that he didn't censor himself. And that was for me, that was huge. That was life-changing for me. He just said whatever he wanted, right? And people were loving it. He's got the biggest podcast in the world now, right? And he brings on whoever he wants and says whatever he wants, asks whatever he wants, right? And I thought, wow, this is amazing. So I listened to about, because his podcasts are about 3 hours long, I listened to about two every day, right? Just like lapping it up, just absorbing all of this wisdom from all of his guests, right? He used to have really, Jordan Peterson, stuff like that on there. And I just progressively, I like my mental health was going really fast, right? I was getting really good. And then I came to a plateau with psychotherapy and stuff, tried another therapist and he was useless. And I just plateaued and nobody had any answers. And then Joe Rogan said something about, I think it was interviewing Mike Tyson. And he was talking about Bufo and ayahuasca. And I was like, what's ayahuasca? It just something in my body went ping like that. And I started going to plant medicine and that changed everything for me. And ayahuasca wasn't the answer for me, but it was definitely helped me because it cleaned out my body. That's what it's for, right? People try to integrate their visions from ayahuasca. I would say it's near impossible. Like Javier went to an ayahuasca in Costa Rica 2 years ago, and he's still trying to integrate it. It shouldn't take that long to integrate something, right? So, so then I started to meet these people that you're talking about, people who bypass the heart and spiritual bypass, right? And bearing in mind, I still have these problems talking about my emotions, yeah. And then I meet these two women who have done a lot of work, years more than I have in the spiritual community, but and they wear all the crystals and all this stuff, yeah. But one of them was a psychotherapist, another one was a counselor. I became good friends with them, and they said we're holding a ceremony, but just us. We're going to hold it. First time they've ever done it at a house in Wales. So I went along, and it was me and four women. I grew up around women, so it didn't feel like big pressure to me to hold that. I felt that that was okay. But I was introduced to something that I'd never done before, which profoundly changed my life. She called it group session work, and it was essentially where we sat around a table and we spoke about how we felt, and then how what that triggered within us. And this girl who I'd never met before, and I'm not going to mention any names, sat opposite me and she said, Alistair, is it okay because you're the only man here if I sit opposite you and tell you something that I've been hiding from a man that I've just met because I'm not sure if I should tell him or not, and I want to measure his reaction by asking you and watching your reaction. I said, yeah, go for it. And she said, I'm an escort. And without going into any detail, she told me, and I asked questions. And then she said, how does that make you feel? I said, you're my worst nightmare. How could you do that to yourself? Right? That was my judgment that I had against her. Right? And do you know what she said? She was there because 2 weeks ago her brother committed suicide. Right? And he committed suicide because both of them, brother and sister, were sold at parties by their mother and father for sex. Right? So then in that moment, I felt like a complete fool and realized how futile judgments are.
Mm.
And so in response, I said, it just came out. I said, on behalf of all men, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you. And something in me changed, and everyone in the room, all of us, just burst into tears. And and the women put their hands on me, and I can understand why. And I said, "Why are you doing that?" And they said, we've never seen a man do that before." And it changed my life. So it taught me how powerful it is to actually share everything in a space like that, in a safe space like that, right? But after that event, I wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted to help more women. I wanted to help more men, but nobody wanted to do it. And I'm not talking about those people there, but the community, everybody just wanted to take medicine and just be in their own energy. Nobody wanted to do the work. And so I remember I reached out to the universe. I was in complete despair. Get me out of this job, stuck in London in this finance. I hated it. It was destroying me. And so the universe, through these girls, led me to this guy who showed me how to pick mushrooms. And I led myself on a journey on my own in London, which went horribly and terribly well, and I would never do it again. And so I was again at another dead end. And so I reached out to the universe again. I had this altar because I'd started my spiritual journey, and everyone's like, "You need an altar." So I bought a meditation chair, and I bought some stick-on stuff, and I wrote some prayers on there that I could remember, like the Ganesha. No, not Ganesha. The anyway, some prayers which were really helpful apparently for me. And I reached out again and I said, why does nobody want to do this? Bring me someone who does. And then I reached out to these women who had done a lot of work and I said, I'm getting this really strong intuition that we need to do a ceremony on the 21st of December, which is the winter solstice, 2020. I was not part of the spiritual community. Had no idea there was a huge astrological window going on that date, which was the super conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn. It was like part of this prophecy, right? I didn't know that. And they said no, really nonchalant. They're like, nah. And I felt so demoralized and so, just nah. And so that's when I reached out to the universe. And I was in the jungle taking ayahuasca in February. And I reached out to the people I met there in Holland. And I said, can I come over for my birthday? Because no, I can't stand having my birthday on the 25th December. There's nobody around. And I didn't want to spend it with family because there's so much wounding that everybody would just argue. And so they said, yeah, come over. And I met Hazel. And Hazel I've never met anyone like her because, and I'm not saying this to be all lovey-dovey and all that. What I'm saying is that when I found Hazel, she was in a mess. And I met someone just like me because I thought, here's someone that nobody listens to, that everybody's kicked aside to the curb, and it's just left her to die. And everyone was taking advantage of her. And I come in and I said, I want to learn from you. Can you teach me? Because nobody else gives a shit. And I just sat opposite her, like pen and paper, going, yeah, 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 like absorb, absorb, absorb. And then she'd be like, oh, I've just been through a really demoralizing nervous breakdown because I've had a divorce. And she explained all the behavior. And I said, that's narcissism. She's like, how do you know that? I go, because that's how I would have treated you. Because I was a narcissist. And it completely changed for her. That completely changed her life. Like she got full on like walking, like boom. And then I started working with her. And by sat opposite each other like we are now, in a way, we would start sharing like I had in around that table. What is it that you don't want to tell me?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And it was freaking terrifying at first.
Mhm.
And then she'd be like, what is it you don't want to tell me?
Mhm.
And then we started enjoying it and then we started doing it every day.
Mhm.
And this is what we're doing on Prophecy Walkers now. We're going to start again and bring this together. But what I learned is that all of the things that prevented me from sharing my voice and all of the thing that promoted judgments, like you were saying at the beginning about men judging, saying that I'm unhinged or unstable, what I learned is that it's those emotions, those suppressed emotions that create those judgments. And because I cleared out so many, I started to learn the truth of what's behind all of it because I threw it all out. And what happens when you throw out all the attachments? You start to remember who you are on a soul level, right? Who were you when you first incarnated? Your first ever incarnation on Earth, who were you? That level of purity, right? And with that starts to unlock gifts and an enormous amount of integration, which is the most difficult part of the journey. But this is what I'm trying to teach men, what I'm trying to mentor for men, because women are already doing it. Like I spoke to your partner yesterday, and I sat with her and I said, "What judgments do you have against me?" And she said, "I don't like your strength." I said, thank you for sharing. And I said to her, I'm your mirror. So that strength that you see in me is in you. And this is what is so difficult for people to accept is that there's this energy of denial of self-worth where they see this light shining in someone, they think, I can't do that. I can't be that. But if if you're triggered and you fear and you have a judgment, then it's because I'm showing you that you can be that. And I'm that bridge. That's my role here. That's part of my purpose to be that bridge for people to say, hey, I got to the other side and I'm the first one there. That's how it feels. I'm the first one there and I can lead the way. And I'm here and I know the suffering you're going through because I went through it. And I can still feel it because I'm still here. I'm connected and I can feel what everyone's going through. But the level, as you've quite rightly pointed out, the level at which I worked at is very difficult for people to understand. And I need to ground that. I need to find a way of grounding that through being here with you, but also I had a very difficult and lengthy conversation with Hazel last night where we haven't been listening to each other. And what we don't know what happened yet, but essentially about a year ago, between a year ago and today, we lost sight of ourselves and we lost sight of doing the work. And I figured it out that we'd done the work on the one and we'd done the work on the two, but we hadn't done the work on the three. And that means turning up. And Hazel's has so much abuse from people that she didn't want to turn up. And so last night I had to point that out to her, saying, "We stopped doing the work, Hazel. We stopped sitting opposite each other. It's time to start again." And she was like, "Yeah, thank you, Alistair. You're right." And so Prophecy Walkers is going to begin again because of that conversation. Well, I'm not going to say begin again because it never started. Not really. And that's how I'm going to show the world what is possible. It's how we are going to show the world what is possible. And people like you and Lexi who are stepping in is such a relief for us because you feel instantly, you feel like family. And it's it's difficult to put into words how that feels because I've received a lot of traumatic abuse from my blood family, right? And I understand why that's happened. I don't blame them. I just want everybody to take, not just my family, but everybody to take responsibility for their own emotions, their own judgments, their own triggers, their own projections, their own denial, their own deflection, everything. It's the only way we can connect because anything else is fear, which is separation. If people are thinking that I'm unhinged by crying and showing the emotions and pain that I'm going through, it's because they're afraid of love. Love has been demonized. We spoke about anger last week, right? I couldn't have got to that depth without my anger. And I'm still clearing that. Those videos that I made, I put three of them up because, gosh, honestly, I don't know how I got there. I woke up in that morning. I woke up that morning and Hazel had crawled into my bed in the middle of the night because she wanted to be with me. And I woke up next to her and I thought, I can't, I can't talk to her about this. I've never had that before. And I went we have a temple that we use as like a gymnasium where I work out. And I have a statue of Hathor, the goddess of the cow. And we were I was in the Taurus moon, which is the bull. And the shadow of the bull is exploitation. Not, but I didn't realize I was in. I didn't. I realized all of this after this happened. that I was sat opposite the goddess of the cow, and that I was in Taurus moon, and I put on some music. It instantly triggered me, started crying, and I felt this pain, and I've been feeling it for so long. And I just said to Hathor, I said, please, please help me. And she did. And it was extraordinarily painful. And I felt I had to be witnessed. I had to be witnessed. This is part of the journey. Hazel and I had to witness each other. What use is it spending of confessing to yourself all of the pain that you've been caused when you're not witnessed? There's a majority that needs to be done on your own in meditation. I understand that. I do that. But to be witnessed is really sacred, and it's freeing. It creates emancipation for the heart. And I I was, it's like peeling the layers of an onion. When I first started out, sat opposite, sat in men's groups and going, yeah, I'm feeling pretty shit today. Girlfriend's being a dick, you know, starting with the real basics. And then, it took me what, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, 6 or 7 years. Plant medicine, quantum leap me, but taking responsibility for my life was the greatest quantum leap. And then I got to the sacredness of, okay, this is how my ego feels, right? But I'm not going to verbalize all of the trash talk because that's not sacred. I'm not going to verbalize that I think you're a beep and this and all these horrible things. I'm just going to say that my ego feels uncomfortable in your presence because of this reason. And then that person's going to mirror it back to me because everyone's a mirror, and I'm going to take responsibility for that, and then I'm going to feel it and see what that is. But this morning I woke up and I had no one to mirror against. So I asked Hathor for help. She came in and Bush, and it was about exploitation, the of the feminine. She's the cow, and so she showed me the images of what they do to cows, and how those animals are they're archetypes of human behavior, right? The bull, the bully, the exploiter, because they are bullied and they are exploited, in Spain, right? They're exploited for audience and money, right? But also you hear it in Wall Street, being bullish and bearish, the bull on Wall Street, right? Being bullied, right? Bullying the economy, it's everywhere. But I took it was really sacral for me. It was really about the sexualization and exploitation of children, of my own soul. I mirrored it in every direction. The women in my life, my mother, Hazel, all the women I met in my life, and then myself. And the pain was indescribable. I had to cry. If I didn't cry, I would have put my fist through the wall. And I probably would have broke my hand. And I've done that before. And it's stupid because it's an expression of violence and anger because we don't know how to express ourselves. And this is why all this anger has to come out to make way for what's behind it. But there's a lot. And so all these people that are trying to commit suicide that you're working with, I totally get it. I totally get it. They haven't been taught how to take the lid off, the pressure off, because of all these fears that we make up, all these fears that we're told to believe in of like, if you say how you feel, if you tell me what you've been through, you're this, and this, and this, and I'm going to humiliate you, I'm going to bully you, and I'm going to make you wish that you never said that. But 9 times out of 10, especially in a safe place, that's never going to happen. And so it happens internally. And this is why people don't share because it happens internally, because it happened to them once. And this is what I'm trying to share is that if you remove that internal trigger that bullies you, that tries to exploit you, that tries to humiliate you, you can do anything. It just takes that one step of bravery to say yes to love. But I'm not saying go to your mate down the pub and go, oh mate, I've got all these judgments. Can you help me? I'm saying work like we are. Work like we are right now. Listen, feel with the body, not the mind. Feel with the body, the mind, and see what happens. What memories does it bring up for you? Where does it hurt? Write down those memories, and then when you've got some time, meditate on those memories and cry them out. It's the easiest way. Or walk them out, dance them out, run them out, lift those weights. But you need to acknowledge them. You have to acknowledge that that happened and find a way through. And then, that's those are the basics, and then it can get really advanced. Then it gets really advanced. And that's when it starts to get really good fun. Because at the beginning, it's not easy. I worked with a lot of medicines to help me. One medicine I worked with was rapé, which is herbs and tobacco, and you sniff it up your nose, and it go boom, brings you into your body. I was not in my body. I didn't want to feel it. I worked with that for 4 years, and it was one of the best things I ever did. But I became addicted to it because it's got tobacco in it, so I had to go cold turkey on that. That was difficult. That's the difficulty of working with medicines. It has to happen in a sacred way. If you're not being guided by a woman who knows what she's doing, you can make big mistakes.
Yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
opening our our session and just hearing you. It's very powerful, very real. Thank you for your the story, the truth of what led you to this point. I think the the reflected you can't get rid of narcissism. Clearly, you've completely blown that theory out of the water because you addressed it by the man-made narcissism, because we're naturally love, we're naturally compassionate, we're naturally interrelated, we're naturally one. That you can't bypass it. If you do, you just yes, it's never going to go. It isn't, and that's then true of that psychotherapist or psychologist. That is then true, but because those types of beings are very in the head, the compassion comes from feeling there's always a moment, there's a special moment in a day or the moon calendar or a special someone to bear the soul, to say something like what you and Hayes used to do. What do you not want to tell me? And how gorgeous that is, how unveiling that is. And that's how we can then master the narcissism, which you're right, it's in us. It's somebody blanked me on the school today that yesterday spoke to me. Just complete. I saw them, I had my head up, I'm looking, I'm like, going about to say good morning, head down. I thought, fucking bitch. How fucking dare you ignore me? And it was like, wow, that was a bit strong, Michael. Is that really necessary? She might be having a really tough day. She might not slept well. She might have a lot of stuff going on. So because of the work that I've done on myself, I'm able to easily catch it. It's obviously happened, but I caught it afterwards on this occasion, but I didn't let it affect my mood. I said, Michael, leave it. It's enough. So you have that little chat with your narcissism and you tell it off, but it is there. And so we can't sometimes get rid of it, but we can certainly dilute it and we can certainly switch it down a notch or two to eventually sometimes it's not around for months. It's not around for months. And I don't know why that happens. Maybe I'm just very much um
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So I just want to say when I opened today's share that now looking at how I shared, I could feel my energy. I've sort of, as you can see, Alistair's helped me center and ground me, which is really beautiful. And I thank you, Alistair, for that. I love you for that. Because I think in our previous sessions, I can tend to be quite centered, and Alistair's doing his thing. Alistair, clearly for me today, is representing something very, he's in process, he's integrating, but he's also really centered and he's articulating very, very well. Today, in my opening, I felt I was all over the place, very passionate, very ungrounded, very discombobulated, coming from the heart, but also very uninformed. But I think about this, about what we're really doing. And for me, I come in and I'm looking for my medicine of, okay, I don't really need to get anything, and that's okay. But if I did need something today, it would be to share everything that's troubling me, something that I don't like about myself. So I could say that actually there isn't at the moment. Everything I'm doing and how I'm behaving and how I'm going about my business and how I'm relating to everything, I'm really happy with. But I will promise this space that I will do that because I don't want people thinking that just because I may be a bit deeper into selfhood doesn't mean that I suddenly lose all that. I can't, and this is what I think people need to understand. This is not easy. It's the road less traveled. It's a really difficult path. But like Alistair said, there is such nectar in it as well. There's such enjoyment in it and playfulness, and you can really find that inner child that was shut down because I touched on this, the integration from childhood to say through adolescence. A lot of people weren't given the rites of passage. They weren't told, welcome, welcome. And with that, we touched on the responsibility of that. We're not passing down and sharing information about what is a nice way of doing this beingness. It's all, as we're speaking about, heading to the point where you locked inside, you have no idea how to share, you're stuck, you're lost, you're alone. It's not true. There's people like Alistair, me, many people of a male vessel that are ready to hold space. And I I haven't had a male yet approach me in the work I'm doing on a mental health capacity yet. They're testing me, they're looking at me, they're checking me out. They're sort of, because I do a little bit of group work with people. I mean, we're holding it together. That's the thing. Maybe I'm a facilitator to a degree, but that's only because I'm keeping the boundaries safe. But everything else is a free flow. And it's, about non-judgment and making sure everybody's heard and we're not there to fix each other. And there is huge potential in that. We both know that, Alistair. But I honestly feel, touching on the group work, you have got to have done a personal journey, whether it's a medicine or whether it's with another therapist, before you enter a group. I don't think it's safe. and it's already happening. So the umbrella of mental health in the county I live in of Dorset, um, they're pushing them into group therapy because it's cheaper. The people in there are getting nothing from it because you've got people that are stealing all of the space because it's not being facilitated well. But the people don't know how to go about sharing, which is what Alistair's touched on. And I think this space can help you as a platform to start to go into that place of sharing your parts of self you don't want to normally share. So yeah, I've got nothing to sort of offer up on what am I not wanting to tell Alistair. I think I did it in my first, if anything, it was Alistair, when I look at you crying, a lot of people are going to think you're unhinged. That's your word. I didn't use unhinged. It looked like you weren't able to hold this type of thing. That's how it's going to appear. And then we've looked at that, we've explored it, and you've journeyed and shared beautifully how this has come about, how you can do that. And then I'm saying to people like even myself and others, we can do this and we need to do this. And this is the time. This is really the we're getting close to where people like Alistair will give up on everybody. I'm sure he won't, but the likelihood is the dark energies of multi-corporate, we are gonna keep digging and drilling and mining and bombing, and we're going to stay fearful, and we can dig ourselves out of this shit, and we can keep making things. It really is the end of it. It's beyond a joke. My appealing to the deep ecology inside of each and every one of us is to think about what our next generations are going to encompass and what they're going to have to journey with and how they're going to have to dig so much deeper than us. I mean, if we're a representation of the earth herself, of mother, we can see that she's sick because we are so sick. And she wants us, and maybe we have to yoke, maybe we have to crack, and maybe we do have to warm up so that large land masses flood and then our farming's, and then everything goes tits up because everything's so on a fine balance. But why should we be even in that position? What on earth are we doing? So I think it's really related. I really think that the environmental disaster that's going on with the consumerism and just all the burning of fossil fuels is in equilibrium with the state of us as energy, as spirit. And if there's ever a time to know it, please, you need to help this grow, this space grow. And I don't normally do this, but I'm starting to sit with the uncomfortableness, donation, doing this. Who is Alistair? Why should I do that? Oh, I'm just going to go and buy another video game. Oh, no, I'm just going to go and get myself another pair of trainers. Fuck it. I ain't doing that. It literally do it and see where it goes. Because when I do it, I then suddenly get this energy come towards me, which grows something within inside myself. And there's like a really beautiful dance and flow of energy that you will notice if you're truly open and doing the work. Because money is a dark energy, but if it's coming from a good place and it's been cleansed in some way, it really can make a profound difference. It's like giving a pound could turn into billions of pounds, but of good energy, not
Yeah.
as a monetary figure,
Yeah.
of good energy. So we're converting it, we're changing it from into what it should be,
Yeah.
so it's difficult because I know I want to talk more about that, but I'm just touching on it that I'm noticing because I follow things, because I live, it comes in and goes out. I have no attachment to it because I don't really want to be involved in it. I am involved in it. I know I am. but I watch it and it goes. It
Yeah.
comes and it goes, and it's a pendulum. And I'm quite happy for it to be that way. But I used to be like Alistair on a great salary in corporate life, making the money, having all of the luxuries. I was so poorly in the end. I was so poorly, so desperately poorly that I tried to kill myself on two occasions. So this is why I'm doing the work with people that are at that point. And Alistair will point out in our cycle of the brotherhood in the Oracle deck, I'm at the bottom. I'm literally this guy that comes after the ferryman. So people have literally, that's it. They've done it. Maybe not physically left Mother Earth, but inside they're gone. And I meet them and I'm the light that takes them back up. And that has been hugely profound for someone like me because I've been trying to understand what's my purpose? What have I learned? What have I been through? Why have I been through it? Ah, I get it now, a little bit. I'm getting it a bit. I'm understanding it a little bit. I need to be this. But then, whatever we're doing to serve, we need someone alongside us or several people alongside to support that. So when Alistair says, I don't, you said something in this share about, I don't know about how to, it was something, you'll have to look back through the recording. The answer, Alistair, is that people in our circle will all support that. That's the difference. It's all about the feedback. It's all about that honesty and that sharing. We get the medicine from each other. Ah, that's what I need to do. Great. Like you said, sometimes we get it through meditation, and that's fine. But sometimes we need the group because in that way the energy's stronger, the channeling's stronger, the purity of the message is clearer, and it can then be really processed. And everybody, like you said, is aware. So it's out, it's
Yeah.
not hidden.
Yeah.
So I think this space, for me right now, I mean, I am uh, going to go away, not right now, but I'm going to go away from this share and I'm going to spend a lot of the time away from the space till we meet again to see the power of the energy I've been talking about how it comes in, how I feed it back into how I feed it into this group, our group, we're a group, into this group, and how I'm going to now ask that to to push outwards, and let's see if we get a fellow, another member, or not a member because it's not a club, another person join this space, and let's just see. And it's not a prophecy. I'm saying my heart is calling out. I'd love there to be 10 turn up, but let's say two. Let's, and I'm going to focus on the power of that and know that where the attention goes, the energy flows. And it's like I'm going to send that out there that we need other men to come in and bring themselves, and they're welcome however they come. It doesn't matter what's going on. Just come and be.
Mm.
And and let's listen to each other. Let's hold each other. And because I'm gonna need it. And I want Alistair to hold me, but I also need other entities with other journeying, with other memories, with other traumas, with other life experiences to come in because we're going to need it. We're definitely going to need it because the level we're going at and what's coming at me because of this is extraordinary. I can't tell you. It's extraordinary. Um, it's having such a deep, profound effect on all my relationships, all the relating I have. My parents are definitely more transformed by the minute by the by the level of what of work I'm doing, and not that I share it with them because I don't share it with them. There's no discussion like I do here about, well, I don't deep discuss it in a deep way, but what I'm holding in a sense of the mental human being that's stuck in the head. Um, for some reason, the energy that's coming off me, my parents can see that I'm working at such a deep level that they're actually not being any critical anymore, or they're actually holding me in a different way because they can see that I'm doing a good thing without it even being vocalized. It's little subtle things that you have to watch out for when you join a space like this, which is really sacred and pure, and it's not full of ego. It's basically raw truth, um, whether you like it or not, and whether you can face it or not. Um, I'm really blown away that people that don't even know me are having so much more respect for me. And it's like I'm giving off a different energy. And it's because I'm working at my true depth. I'm working at that real place of life and death, which is where we should all be. Environmentally, that's where we're at anyway. So let's talk about the difficult questions that everybody has.
Yeah,
Because let's just talk about it. Let's
yeah.
talk about it.
Well, that's what I want to do. I want to get into the nitty-gritty because there's a core behind everything, right? Now, you mentioned about the woman looking down at the floor, right? There's and then you spoke about narcissism and how that affected you in the days afterwards. But if that behavior repeats in you, like if that happens to you again and you have the same reaction, the core isn't seen. And this is what I talk about with emotions, right? There's a core healing that can happen, which can just completely destroy that so that you don't emit that behavior instantly ever again, right? And because it happens with disease, it happens with you're talking about chopping down trees and pollution and all that. Everything that has a negative effect on the human state, on the human being, on the human mind, on the heart. Everything has an emotional origin. This is how advanced it can get, right? And we can heal the whole world by starting on ourselves. Like you mentioned at the moment about men with children doing it for the kids. You can't do it for the kids. You have to do it for yourself,
Well, true.
which in turn does it for the kids. Because what happens when you start doing the work on yourself as a father, you become a better father,
Yep.
right? And so there's then you have to look, how do you become a better father? Well, you have to go through and you have to sit with someone who knows how to look at those judgments that you have, for example, against your children, right? Because they're mirroring back the judgments that you have on yourself. Where did those judgments you have on yourself come from? Did they come from your father? Did they come from your brother? Did they come from your sister? Did they come from your mother? Did they come from your boss? And you go to that memory and you go, oh yeah, it was that bastard. And then there's a trigger that we can take responsibility for, right? And those triggers are like elastic bands, you let go and you're like, but you are the elastic band, right? And when we get stretched like that, we're stretching our awareness. If we take responsibility instead of firing that elastic band at someone else, which is, people getting triggered and then going, fuck you, you know? If we realize that we are the elastic band and stop firing our own pain at other people, then we can put the elastic band where it's supposed to be, holding something together that, something practical or in the bin, wherever it needs to be, right? So that you don't have to keep flicking yourself, right? It's to go into that core wound. I'll give you an example, right? Because I've come so far, it's difficult to remember all the ones that I started off with. I'll start with not being heard, okay? Not being heard. So this is a huge one for me that works on the first line of consciousness, not being heard, not listening to my soul, my intuition. And it works with sometimes my partner doesn't listen to me and the collective, my family, don't listen to me, right? Like I come with solutions to people. And when I give them the answers to their woes, So like, hey, I've got a problem. This isn't working. This isn't working. I give them the precise antidote and they don't take it. Right. And so that's a huge trigger for me. Why aren't you listening? So I go into that wound. I travel to that feel. I feel that emotion. What memories come up? What memories come up and not being heard? Okay. When my mother and father were having a divorce, they shushed me. Right. So a very belligerent divorce where everyone lied to me to protect me. My mother left my father, found another man. I wasn't aware of that because my family lied to me to protect me. My mother would come around with a black eye or a bruised leg. She would lie to me how she would get that. Okay. Those are the childhood wounds, right? And I looked at that and it removed a lot of emotions that were attached to that, a lot of pressure. I also even did EMDR therapy on it, right? My dad threw bleach in me because he was throwing bleach at my mum, but I was in the way. I had to overcome that, self-worth issues, realize I was piggy in the middle. I had to look at that, right? But this not being heard one, right? That's the basic. That's the basic. When it gets advanced, that's that's when you I'll tell you what happened with me, right? I'd done all that work on not being heard, but it was still coming up and it was getting worse. I was getting really triggered. I was getting very snappy. Okay. So I started working with some plant medicine. I was in Scotland. I picked up a stick and I was dancing and I pretended I was on a boat. I was rowing. Then all of a sudden I started to feel this overwhelming emotion. I became, I was stood up in my room dancing, overwhelmed with emotion, rowing like this. And I'm like, what is this? All of a sudden, I leave Scotland, not in Scotland, not in at least this time period, and I'm on a boat. Sorry, what do you call those little boats? Those stand-up boats that people paddle on, paddleboard. I was on a paddleboard, right? Thousands of years ago, this was thousands of years ago, and I was in bits. A canoe. I was in a canoe, right? I was in a canoe, and I was distraught, right? And I started crying and I was overwhelmed. I was screaming in pain. And I looked behind me in the vision and my village was burning and everyone was dead. I was the only one who survived. And where did the wound come from? I had to go back to that memory several times. And it happened through multiple lifetimes. So I went back for the very first one. I was a toddler in my mother's arms, and I knew someone was coming to hurt us. And so I cried, and nobody listened because nobody listened to the vibration of my heart. Do you know how profound that is? Because that's a collective wound. People stopped listening to the heart. And so my whole family was annihilated, all my ancestors, my whole tribe. I'm the lone survivor of that tribe. And I'm getting closer and closer now to understanding what my tribe was and why they were killed. And it's why I'm here. I'm here to get justice. I'm here to reclaim everything back because it didn't just happen to me, Michael. It happened to all of us. And I'm here to get justice for everyone, not just myself. By being by being that spear, throwing that spear into the dark and seeing where it leads me, because I'm not going to miss. I'm not going to miss the mark. And when I find it, I'm bringing that out with me and I'm going to show everyone what's possible. Because when you heal back that far, it triggers the latent DNA and it brings it into manifestation and it unlocks all of the stuff that has been hidden from us. And we've been told that it's sci-fi, that it's fantasy, that it's fairy tale. That's all part of it. Those are stories, shamanic stories with hidden messages and medicine in it. Like my dad used to read to me Three Little Pigs. It was my favorite, that and Three Little Bears, right? Three Little Pigs. Dad, can you read me that? He's like, again? This went on for years, right? And so I'm an adult, and it came back to me a few months ago this year, actually. So I went and I got a copy of it, put it on my altar, sat meditating, and I just put it in my hands. The vibration of love that came off that book into my being was off the charts. And I was like, what is it with this story? It's a profound shamanic story about boundaries. It's got hidden coding in it. Pigs and the wolf. The wolf is extremely powerful. This podcast. Wolves, wolf walkers, mentorship, teaching, foresight, carving new ways, warrior, right? And following the light of the moon, following the light of the feminine, yeah. I want to start talking more about that. I've had Carolina on here, and I'm going to have Katie on here as well to show men how to dip into that energy, how to feel safe in being sat opposite a woman because it can be terrifying, but you have to remember that, it's like when you look at a spider, spiders are quite terrifying, but I bet that spider's more scared of you than you are of it. It's the same with women, right? Women are brave. If a woman sits opposite a man to do this kind of level of emotional work, just think how much work she's had to do in order to be strong enough to sit opposite that man. That's how strong Hazel is. The shit that I brought to her table, you know, and she turns to me and she goes, "You're so strong, Alistair. You've managed to do all this work." I'm like, yeah, well, mirror that back to yourself as well. The amount of defamation that has been, an exploitation against women that we haven't taken full responsibility for is just words do not do it justice. And so, as a man, and as understanding my purpose and my destiny, understanding who I am as a man and as a warrior, sacred warrior, I I choose to serve in the name of love. And that means giving that power back to the feminine, the power that the masculine stole. No more blaming, no more shaming, just full responsibility and love. And what is hidden from us, which is on the other side, which I have experienced, is way beyond any of your expectations, way beyond. The level of love can and manifestation of what is possible can't be comprehended by the logical mind. I tried. It defeated me every time. I tried every time to guess, and I was wildly far off. It's so much greater. So I live in how do I say, I live in harmony with animism. Everything speaks to me. I get messages from God through the flowers, through the birds, through the animals, through the screen, through you, through my partner, through my body, through meditation, through something falling off the desk, through stones. I get messages, and those messages help me stay in alignment with who I am. So much has been stolen from us because our heritage and our ancestors were killed, and so they couldn't pass this on. This is what, our last episode was about. I said all our ancestors are dead, right? But we can bring them back to life through healing our DNA, through bringing them back through us because we are our ancestors now. And that's the responsibility that we hold, and that's enormous. And so those people who are here today holding the light, I can understand why they're afraid, mate, because it's a big responsibility holding that amount of light. But as I can say, the fear is just a disguise and an illusion and a cloak, because that equivalent fear that you're feeling, right? If you're feeling any kind of fear, right, times that by 1,000 and turn it on its head into love. because fear does not compare to love. Fear seeks out weakness, right? And if you said it the full circle back to what you said at the beginning about men judging my crying, that's narcissism. It seeks out weakness. It sees weakness, not love. I'm not weak. If I suppress my emotions and degrade the feminine, that's weak. If I don't listen to you and promote you and honor you as a man, that's weak. If you walk past me to say good morning and I look at the floor, that's weak. To look you in the eye and say I honor you, that's brave. That's bravery. That's strength. And then the question you want to ask yourself is, how far are you willing to go? How far are you willing to go into love? For me, there is no limit. I am full time devoted to love. And it's not easy to begin with, and this is why I'm calling out for help because I do feel like I'm doing it on my own. And you've stepped up, and I honor you, mate. And I was saying this to Lexi yesterday, Lexi, your partner, that you're starting to learn, I hope, how great you are. I do. I feel that when I told you how big you are, that it's okay to be big, that was enormous for you, like it was for me as well. It's okay to be big because it's okay to be love. And when you start to mirror that back to yourself, you start to realize you don't need qualifications. What if you're already qualified? What if you're overqualified? Because you are. What if there's something bigger waiting for you? What if it's already here and you just haven't seen it?
Yeah, beautiful, really beautiful. Yeah, I feel so still sat with you today. It's nice to,
Can't hear you, mate.
I said, it's just so nice to feel so still with you. I'm feeling very, very still,
Yeah.
very, very still. Beautiful. But yeah, thank you for again sharing so much. And yeah, I honor you hugely. And yeah, a lot of that really resonates. It's very profound, very truth. And this is what's good about this connection. It takes you to the periphery of self, and you realize how big you actually are.
Mm.
Um, the love is immense for me. You know, I get really close to love um, in this lifetime, and we've come at this lifetime. We've chose this time to come, and it feels very apt and ready and ripe, maybe overripe, that we're doing this work. But our journeys are not too dissimilar, which is interesting because some of that stuff you said today, I've not heard. It's the first time I've heard it, and I love that about relating with others. It brings up stuff that needs to be in the moment. It needs to be shared because there's something in it. There's something really profound in it. Um, and that's the mystery. That's what's lovely about talking and communicating and sharing. Um, there's so much happening right now, but I'm feeling very still. So I'm just being mindful that I need to just be very, very gentle with myself right now. Mm.
I just want to touch finally on donations, what you said about donations, and
Okay.
and I want to say how silence is welcome. Silence is welcome because you're really tapped in, Michael. You've done a lot of work. You can tell because you're a deep feeler, and that requires an enormous amount of work. So I welcome it when you're like this. So,
Mm.
um, and I want to say for the record that I love everyone. I'm not going to push anyone away, and this is part of my pain of connecting with the world, is that I do love
Beautiful.
everyone, and they're going through a lot of
Beautiful.
pain.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well said.
And donations, the reason we're asking for donations is because I've had to go through the emotion and healing of commoditization. I can no longer sell my soul. I can't commoditize myself. I had to leave it all behind. And this is guidance from spirit, guidance from God, guidance from our guides, my ancestors, that Hazel and I have to receive donation in order to make this foundation that was going to support men and women for everyone, the whole world. Really big dream. It's taking small steps. We've got an exhibition next year that we want to create. We want everybody to be involved on how to do this level of work, how to walk our own prophecy, how to follow our intuition, how to be in love, how to meet each other, how to cure all these lies that we've bought. And donations is pure. It's pure. It's a washing machine of washing the money that has been misused by directing it back to love, directing it back to the correct people who know how to use it for the force of love.
Well said.
Yeah.
Great. As you can tell, Alistair just articulates so much better. I mean, this is what he does. Me, it's a bit frictiony or a bit jiggery pokery because I don't really know how to articulate that. But that's exactly, it's just really well said. And I think that's just reaching out to those that hopefully will tune in or feel the vibration and the light of this. And this is not desperation. This is just truth. This is see where this would lead for selfhood, for journeying. And I just want to touch on something before I need to sort of finish my closing share, is the fact that I spoke a little bit about interrelatedness and oneness. And if you can't show up for you, show up for your kids. And Alistair said, look, you can't do it for your kids if you don't. But we're so interrelated. We are our ancestors and we are our future 7 generations and beyond. We are them already. And that's when I say, if you can't show up for the damaged selfhood, the ego, or the narcissism, show up for your kids because that is still you. That's still you. And so we talk to parts of ourselves sometimes in therapy because sometimes the damaged vessel just can't do it. So we go to the parts, like Alistair's touched on. We look at the parts of us and we look at the core wounds, which Alistair was so bravely to share that. I love that. I love that work. And if men have not done that before, please come and try that with Alistair. Like, reach out to me. But this is, I think Alistair has an incredible depth where you're right, you're so overqualified. And what is qualified anyway? Qualification just puts a roof and a dogma around something. This is a natural way that we've always lived. This is just fucking like you talk about. I'm sorry for swearing a lot. It's not unlike me. It's because
So,
I am feeling, I did
yeah.
say that I am feeling quite drained because of the depth I'm holding, and I'm due a break. I need a break. We all need a break. So I do apologize to everyone for my language, but um, people are protecting their salaries. They're protecting their way of life. And what we're saying is, you're having a laugh if you think you're going to sustain that.
Yeah.
Our projections ecologically, fuck economics, ecologically, by the end of this century, we're doomed. We're fucked. Because we're on a trajectory that we're going to be 8 degrees hotter. We're fucked, guys. So seriously, your money in one generation has fucked us. So shove it up your ass, send it our way, and we'll do something good with it. But my final share for today is just to notice yourself. Notice, are you really present? Like, are you present? Can you smell? Can you hear? Can you see? Can you feel? Like, can you stop? In fact, that's it.
Yeah.
On my fucking walk today, there's the swearing again. On my beautiful walk today, the channeling of ancestry, of all of the devotees, all of the people that have gone before, that are us, that have done the work, said, tell them to stop. So I was just like on my walk, stopped and just thought of all those big machines digging the earth and all those drills going deep and all the movement and all the voices and all the eating and all the shitting and all stop. And I had that moment of just how beautiful that could be.
Yeah.
If every single energy that had capacity to understand this message, stop what you're
Yeah.
doing and take a deep look at actually where you are.
Yeah.
And people will know what that means. You fucking do. You know, that doesn't mean, oh yeah, I'm in Weymouth. It's lovely and sunny down here, isn't it? Oh mate, I'm in the betting shop. That's where I am. Oh, I'm on my paddleboard going down the river. No, not that. Oh, I'm on my chewy flight off to Malaga. No, I don't mean that. I mean, where are you inside of yourself?
Yeah.
Are
I
you
want
here?
mm,
Are you here? Are you in your tummy? Where, so I just think for me, I stopped and because of work, because of the journey I'm on, I'm accepting my responsibility. I can honestly say 75% I was from the heart, but I could still feel the mind. Of course I could. But like the clouds, they were going on by. I just watched it, just watched the thoughts. But I honestly know I've got a long way to go. And I'm a guy that's been 15 to 17 years in now. So to anybody out there that is shit scared of me and Alistair, of this space, of the conversations, of the depth, of the whole thing, Alistair's right. Don't be afraid. The fear will keep you back. The love is so huge. You're so huge. It's unbelievable. Like you don't realize just the impact of the work that Alistair and Hazel that they're working at. It's to the common person that's not even done any counseling, for example, or looked at their diet or changed their job in the last 30 years. I'm calling to those people, the real stuck people. That's the level that Alistair and Hazel are working at. The real stuck individuals because of the attachment, because of the core wounding. So that I'm just feeling very privileged, very honored to have shared more time with you. I love your top. I don't know if it's a scarf. I don't know if it's a hoodie. It looks beautiful. I love it on you today, Alistair. I love that.
yeah, it's
Um,
poncho scarf. I employed a woman who was a recovering alcoholic to hand knit it for me.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it felt really good
Yeah,
to
it's
give
lovely
back.
that you're wearing that. It's not just because it's jumping out because of its color. It's really it's a beaut. It's beautiful. I just wanted to honor it. And clearly someone behind that work is a really cool and beautiful person.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to say that, yeah, I'm feeling slightly recharged, actually, a little bit more in my cup, but I'm going to use it wisely.
Yeah. Those stops you were mentioning, I just want to share a lesson that my higher self taught me for everyone and for yourself as well. It's not about sitting down and meditating. It's about
No.
I call them micro stops, where I just stop moving
Yeah,
and just stand there for a minute. Even I might be on the stairs, I
that's it.
might be anywhere, and I just stop and go, okay, where am I? Can I feel
That's
my
it.
body?
That's it. Brilliant.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
very powerful.
Yeah.
It stops the body from just going into automation.
Yeah. Try it. Who's ever haven't? Alistair clearly has. And that's what I did this morning. And yeah, I'm glad that but yeah, I definitely feel very blessed.
Right. Should we wrap it up there?
Yeah.
It's been quite a long one, isn't it? That was
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, and no. For people looking in, yeah. For us, no, maybe, maybe
Good.
not.
Good. Yeah, good.
Maybe not for us.
No, it's not. I mean, honestly, I could talk for hours on emotions and I could go really deep, really high and really
I
wide,
know you can. I know you can.
but
I know you can, mate.
it is sacred and we're opening it up slowly. So we'll keep on opening.
Well, like I said, I'm going to dedicate now time to just restoring my little bit of energy in my cup, but also to send out that the washing, as you call it, the washing, and just making sure that I'm reflecting outwards. And I will promote you. The idea is to get people starting coming towards you. Simple as that. Simple as that. And this is where I think that honesty comes in. Can I hold this person? I get sick of hearing therapists go, yeah, I've got such a long waiting list. I'm thinking, is that really necessary? What are you? That's unhealthy. That's unfair. That person's in need now. Oh yeah, massive waiting list. I'm thinking, are you really the right person? It's just built on reputation. So I'm just like, if when someone comes and I'm thinking, is with Alistair, so that's already happening. And I do that with a lot. I'm like, yeah, that's not for me. That's for me. That's not because this is so precious and it can't be. I struggle with the word commoditize. Com
Or commodification.
Commodification. Thank you. Commodification. I'm so aware of that. Like I am on that shit. I'm like I can feel people. I can feel that. So yeah, I'm not in it for that. I'm not in it for that. But I do have to keep a roof over my head, like you do. And I do have to put some food in my tummy, like you do.
Yeah, we're trying. That's what Hazel and I are trying to find a different way, because we're doing something different, and it means being rewarded for creations. It's difficult to explain, but I think we've explained it enough. So
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But yeah,
yeah,
I'm feeling that connection on that level as well with you guys. So and Lex's. So yeah.
yeah. That's essentially what we're doing is we're creating a movement for the whole of humanity, a peace movement, which involves a lot of events and exhibitions and art
Beautiful.
and creations and books and support
Wow.
people, supporting all of
Yeah,
this.
you guys are awesome. You are great people.
But
Great people in our lives.
yeah, and unfortunately, we live in a world where we need money to make that happen.
I
So,
know it's
yeah,
just absolutely crazy, mate. I know. I know.
yeah,
I hear you. But there's definitely a beautiful energy going on. I'm so super grateful for you. I love you very much, and I hope that what your integration, your processing that you're doing, you just you just keep doing what you're doing because you know you're doing this for the greater good. And that's, in my opinion, illuminating and very, it's just beautiful, mate. So good for you. Good
Thank
for
you.
you. And I know it's painful. I know it's painful. But like you said, Michael, turn it times that by 1,000, turn it upside down. I get it. When you said some of these things that how you've articulated today, it does land in me, the weight of it. And you're right. This is not, it's a simple calling out to to welcome people. Come on in. Don't be afraid. Just come and see what can come from this for your selfhood because it's remarkable. So yeah, that's me. I don't know how you'll wanna what's happening for you? How do you feel? What you picking up on? And yeah, what's occurring for you?
What you mean in my personal life or in this call?
No, just yeah, between me and you. Yeah, this,
Um,
this.
I'm I'm very happy you have that you came on really strong and shared. And I can see how difficult it is to start out sharing the voice from it's again like I'm going to reiterate that the judgments don't come from anyone, they're all internal.
Yeah,
And so if anyone listening or yourself is feeling, goes away after this and feels any negativity, it's all internal.
yeah,
And you can
agreed.
change that by, going for a walk or creating something new. So, or talking to someone. So I am here.
Thank you for that, brother.
Yeah.
Beautiful mirror. You're a beautiful mirror.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, mate. I'll call it a day, yeah?
Yeah, I've got to go and preserve my energy, but I have got to do something with the young man that's with me because they've broken up for holidays.
Yeah. Okay. Have you got the weather down there?
We've had amazing weather. We've pretty much been in a drought since April here in Dorset. And I would say the weather's turning now and we're starting to get some rain.
Okay.
What about you?
Overcast, spraying the skies.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's really, but they spray over here real bad. It's horrendous.
Disgusting.
Yeah, people are going to pay for that.
Oh, aren't we just?
Yeah. If I was still living there, I would go up to that deli and get some nice cheese and biscuits.
Yeah, I'll do that for you. I'll bring them when I come and see you.
All right, mate. Have a good one, yeah?
Yeah, love you, mate. Look
You
after
too.
yourself, all
Yep.
right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.